Hi everyone and welcome back to National League Lowdown with me Dan. Happy New Year to you all. It's been a couple of weeks since we were last on before Christmas. Hope you all had a great Christmas and New Year. We're going to start off the New Year strong. Got a full house of us. We're going to cover the games that were actually on this weekend. There was a lot of postponements, some that Mark's going to cover at some point. But Craig, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, doing really well, thanks, mate. Good Christmas period. Managed to get out to about 3 or 4 games over the period as well, with different variations of success for me, depending on what side of the fence I was on each of them. Yeah, but good to be back. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Louis, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, all good, thanks, Dan. Nice and well rested, ready to crack on, looking at the National League action from the weekend and coming up.
Yeah, and Mark, good to have you back, mate. How are you?
Yes, aloha everybody, and Happy New Year to all our people, visual and audio. Yes, like Craig, I went out and had a couple of games with Mac, and our results didn't vary. We were absolutely crap in both. There you go.
I've told you before we went live, they're focusing on the Crystal Palace game in the cup. That's what they're doing. So
I know, but we do have Radcliffe on Tuesday to hopefully get the players picked for said Crystal Palace game. But no, we need to start picking up the points, and don't want to sound like a Rochdale fan here, but we do have games in hand.
Oh, don't go for the Rochdale fans already. We're less than 2 minutes in. Come on.
Well, we shouldn't poke the bear then, really, should they?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. We're back. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly cover the Boxing Day games, the games in between there as well. Mark's going to cover the postponements. Obviously, there was a controversial one that was called off like 5 minutes before kickoff. And then we're going to get into the deep dive and we're going to do our nominees for Manager and Player of the Month. So first up, we're going to do the Boxing Day recap, which is me. So first up was Brackley 1, Forest Green 0, which was an absolute cracking result for Brackley. Poor result for Forest Green. You know, I know they've posted the stats up on social media and things like that. And, you know, it did look like they had the better of the game, but Brackley got the result and that clean sheet. And, you know, Brackley need to start picking results up. And obviously they did. So good credit to them. The Braintree 0, Southend 1. Southend were down to 10 men as well for this, which was a big result for them. Just try that because that last playoff place is getting close now. So, you know, Southend need to keep winning and keep themselves in there. Next up was Eastleigh 1, Woking 1. Even game, both teams, but Woking did have that good run, but they kind of dropped off a little bit. Eastleigh, again, you never really know what you're going to get from them. Next up, we've got Halifax 2, Altrincham 1. Good win for Halifax. Altrincham struggling. You know, you look at them and you look at teams like Boston and that in and around there, they do seem to be getting dragged down into the mire a little bit. Gateshead 0, Carlisle 3. I wasn't at this game, but I did watch it. Gateshead, I worry for them. I know they've had a managerial change and things like that, but Carlisle were poor that day and they still won 3-0. Then next up, we've got Hartlepool 1, Scunthorpe 2. Scunthorpe carrying on the good form. Credit to them. Hartlepool again, you know, since they appointed the manager on the full-time basis, it just seems to have not really worked out. And then we've got Morecambe 1, Rochdale 2. A tough away day for Rochdale that day. I think they missed a penalty as well, but obviously got over the line. And then the result of the round for me was Solihull Moors 7, Tamworth 1. I don't think anyone's seen that coming. Joe Sabaro with a hat-trick, I think it was, and credit to Solihull, they've been incredible. They're closing in on that last playoff place. Sutton 0, Aldershot 0. Louis, I'm sure you took this one in, mate. Not a lot to write home about in this one. Poor result for both. It doesn't really resolve any issues for either side. Truro 1, Yeovil 0. Truro picking up some results. Another one that we'll talk about in a little while. But yeah, Truro picking up some results, looking like they've got a bit of fight in them. So credit to them. Then Wealdstone 0, Borehamwood 4. Bournemouth just keep rolling on, no stopping them. Again, I think they are going to take some stopping. I know that obviously they were meant to play York, that got postponed. Maybe York's the only team that can potentially stop them. I don't know. And then last up was York 2, Boston 2. Boston were in the lead for a long time in that game. York were down to 10 men, but they managed to get a point. So good sides do. You know, they maybe couldn't have won the game with the 10 men, but they managed to get a result, and that's all that matters. But yeah, it was a cracking day of football, some standout results. And Craig, over to you, mate, for the next round.
Perfect. So I've started my deep dive of the midweek games at the top of the league, and at the end of play on Tuesday night, that was Boreham Wood after beating Solihull Moors 2-1 at home. They went top partly because they won, but also because Rochdale lost. I've put in brackets here at home. It wasn't at home, of course. It was at Accrington, and they lost to Hartlepool, and they ended up finishing the game third position. Hartlepool had even better news a day later with Raj Singh setting up and the ownership changes there, and we'll be watching that one very carefully, just see how it goes, because we've got a few reservations, but ultimately for them, it seems that change was needed and change has come, and people like Jeff Stelling have now been given chances to go back into the club, at least as spectators to start, and we'll see what the future holds for them on that one. It was a late show at Altrincham, as it looked like 10 men Ulty stole a point at the death, but York City's Ollie Pearce had the last laugh, scoring in stoppage time for a 2-1 win there, which ultimately was a good result, but they should have been out of sight early on in the first half, but didn't take their chances, and Altrincham nearly stung them, but Ollie Pearce, as I said, had the last laugh. Very simple sentence for the next one, Dan, I'm sure you'll agree with this. Carlisle were uninspiring at home, but edged past Morecambe is what I've put for this one, and that seems to be really the story of their season at the moment. Uninspiring, but still most of the time getting the job done. The next one, alongside that Hartlepool result, is probably the result of the day, and that was Truro getting a fantastic away point at Forest Green. Not the festive period Robbie Savage would have wanted, but on the flip side, a very, very good festive period for John Askey and Truro, which has brought them a lot closer to the teams around them. Unfortunately, a lot of the teams around them also picked up quite a few points over the festive period as well. One of them teams that didn't pick up many points, though, was Gateshead. It was comfortable for Scunthorpe there in a 2-0 victory. Gateshead down to 10 men quite early. I said here, Scunthorpe didn't really get out of second gear at all. Southend make it back-to-back wins and back-to-back 1-0 wins. Gus Scott Morris scored the winner in both them games. This time it was a rebound after Jack Sims saved the penalty, and Louis will vouch for me on this. Me and him being Braintree and Sutton fans, Jack Sims is the penalty saving king. I've never seen someone as good at saving penalties as him. But unfortunately for him, Gus Scott Morris tapped the rebound in, and Southend go back to back there. Halifax dispatched Tamworth 2-0 with a dominant away performance. Job done after 20 minutes, really. 2 goals in 20 minutes, and then seen the rest of the game out on a clean sheet. Not the best festive period for Tamworth, although it did get better as the new year started. We'll come on to that one later. Woking struggles at home continued as Braintree left with all 3 points. Araminde Oto with the only goal after 8 minutes, but I actually went to this game. It's freezing cold, but Braintree should have been 3-4-0 up at half time. And then you thought, oh no, we haven't gone 3-4-0 up. We're going to get sucker punched in the second half, but Woking offered nothing. There was a poor performance from them, and one they'll be looking to quickly forget. Aldershot continued their resurgence with a strong home performance, beating Wealdstone 4-1, which completed a really, really good couple of days for them in the festive period, and has got them out of the relegation zone as well. Yeovil and Eastleigh shared the spoils with McCormick and a Blair penalty, meaning both teams settled for a point. One that both teams probably thought they could win, but not overly disappointed because they didn't lose. Brackley, another team towards the bottom, that had a very good festive period, and they won away at Boston, coming from 1-0 down at halftime to win 2-1. And yeah, an excellent festive period for a lot of the teams down the bottom. Gateshead not picking up too much, and unfortunately for Louis, Sutton not picking up too much as well.
Yeah, I mean, you said there it was nice to see the team. You know, we had that. I think it was in November where all the top teams were winning, all the bottom teams were losing, and it was looked like very straightforward. Whereas now the bottom teams are getting a bit of form together, so it's nice to see. Makes it more competitive as well. Mark, over to you now. Talk about the postponements for this weekend.
Oh boy. Oh, where do we start? Well, we'll start on the teams that got it right. Boreham Wood was the first one to fall. They were due to play York in what would have been a very, very, very tasty game. But as Boreham Wood had to experience, York will have to go there now on a Tuesday night. But yeah, that's how it should have been done. Scunthorpe and Sutton, again, that was a one for Sutton not to go all the way up in the country. So again, all done right, as is Woking, Hartlepool, Southend and Truro. Rochdale, they were doing their pitch up to move to Accrington to go and have the games postponed there instead. But I suppose you can't really vouch for the weather, but it'll be interesting to see what happens when this pitch is done at Rochdale, because as we've heard many times, they do have games in hand, but it's now not winning them. It's now actually trying to fit them in, because you may find yourself with a situation where you get to the end of the season and you're playing Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. It could end up like that. But here we go. The biggest mess up of them all, Altrincham and Morecambe. And I'll say this, Altrincham fans, Morecambe fans, you deserve to feel aggrieved. Calling a game off 5 minutes before kickoff. No. You don't do it. I mean, if you've got, the officials here, I got told when Macclesfield went into the National League North that the officiating and the standard of officiating, whether it be on the game or before a game, whatever, was worse than the NPL, the Northern Premier League. And I said, no, it can't be that bad. Oh, yes, it can, because you've got the fans in there, you've got the small businesses that are providing the food, everything, only to be told, no, I've changed my mind now, it's not looking good. Listen to the managers. The referee's on the same pitch as the players. So why not listen to the players? If they're not going to be in and out of all this, then just say, right, but 5-3, come on. Surely the competency level can't be that low that you have to wait all that time. I feel for the Morecambe fans who had to travel down. The Altrincham fans too. They've some of them would have travelled from further out. But no, an absolute shambles. Don't blame the clubs. Honestly, don't blame Altrincham for any of it. It's the officials that make the decision, and if they can't be bothered to actually do something, do it on a whim. Even if the pitch had thawed out by then, if you postponed it early enough, then fine, you've done it. That's a decision made now, but not 5 minutes before a game. And whoever the officials were on that day, no. Stay away from a game for a couple of weeks, because if you can't make up your mind an hour and a half before a game's meant to start, you shouldn't be there at all.
Agreed, Mark. Agreed. Well said. But like you said, the main thing there is it's the officials that have messed that up. It's not the clubs, because you see people on social media going in at the clubs don't
blame the clubs
officials
for anything like this. It's down to one person, and bring your brain with you as well as your whistle.
That's a good note to leave it on, I think. So we're going to do our deep dive now. Obviously, there was only a handful of games, so we're going to start with Carlisle 2, Wealdstone 0. Carlisle top of the league. There was a game I was at. Luke Armstrong got the opener, took his goal really well actually. Chest control, tight angle, left foot finish. My man of the match, led the line perfectly. I put a post out on social media saying he just done everything that you want from your front man, whether it was running the channels, stretching defences, linking up play, holding the ball up, winning free kick, all the stuff you need. It was probably as close to a perfect performance that you could get from a striker. And then Aaron Hayden got the second. Wealdstone didn't offer a great deal, to be perfectly honest. There was a lot of nice little passes in the midfield, but there was nothing up top from them. Obviously, they're in horrible form at the moment as well. So, like I said, Carlisle's top of the league, but like Craig touched on as well, it's not been, the most inspiring watch, but somehow we're at the top of the league. I've been accused in recent days of being really negative. So, like I say, that's being polite to what I got. But honestly, for me, being top of the league, I know there's other teams with games in hand and all that kind of stuff, but getting the points on the board and being top of the league at this stage of the season, I would have took that in August. So, we take it and we take the positives from it. Louis, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, at the end of the day, all that matters is the result at the end of the day and the amount of points you've accrued over this part of the season to sit top of the league. given, as you said, your performances haven't been great in recent weeks, is testament to the fact that you've ground out games and you don't get out of that first gear. So yeah, credit to Carlisle, obviously getting the jobs done when they aren't maybe performing. Luke Armstrong, it's 4 in 5 for him in all competitions now. Really underrated as a striker, I think he is. I think he's a real workhorse. He's a real pain in the backside for defenders. He's got a good record in the National League. Obviously did it in League Two for Harrogate as well. So I think if he gets a run of games, because I think it's only recently he's sort of come into the side, I think, unless, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, he hasn't really had a run of games, I don't think, for Carlisle, has he?
He started the season really well, and then Georgie Kelly got the nod, and then Georgie Kelly was scoring, so he kind of fell back onto the bench. But for me, when Armstrong's been firing, I think he's probably been the better of the, even though it's a close one, but I think he's been the better of the two so far this season.
Didn't Georgie Kelly speak out about the manager or something, so he hasn't started since?
That's just a rumour, but yeah, he spoke out about tactics and the manager. I think it was after the Woking game when we lost to Woking at Brunton Park, and he hasn't started a game since. So read into that what you will.
I don't believe in coincidence.
But it's 7 goals for the season for him now. I think if you look over the 90 minutes, it's 7 in 11 90 minutes. I think it is on average. So it's a really, really good return for him. Obviously, said for Wealdstone, not in good form. Some worries about them. No win for them since the 8th of November, since their 1-0 victory against Braintree. Sorry, Craig. 1 point from their previous 15. We mentioned it on previous podcasts that we think they've probably got enough points to sort of steer clear of the relegation zone, unless they lose 6 on the bounce, which since we've said that comment, they have had that rotten run of form. So yeah, I think that they're in a bit of a sticky situation. If they don't start picking up results soon, they may start looking over their shoulder. And I think they need to sort of bolster their squad. Their top scorer is Abario with 5. We obviously did our thread over the Christmas period of players we think they should sign, or players that we think clubs should sign in the National League. And I think they need to start looking at boosting their squad and adding some goals to it.
Yeah, I mean, just what you said about Wealdstone there, I think for me, we talked about them having the points, like you said, but I think with everyone else picking up points down the bottom as well, that gap is being bridged. So I would be slightly looking over my shoulder if I was a Wealdstone supporter at the moment. Craig, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, it's a really weird one with Carlisle, because probably if you discount Morecambe now, you're probably the least happiest fan base in the league, I'd say. And now you sit in top, and that's not saying anything against your fan base or anything like that. It just hasn't seemed to click. If you look at the teams around you, Forest Green, they've had moments of excellence. Bournemouth have had more than moments of excellence. Rochdale look like they're barely ever going to concede a goal. York don't look like they're going to stop scoring. What would you say Carlisle's thing is? And I'd say getting over the line. Now, that's not a bad quality to have. All I'd say is maybe it's time for your owners to put their hand in their pocket one more time and maybe get another centre midfielder, maybe a right winger, to really push you. And if you click now, you're in prime position to do so. You've had your wobbles, you've had your uninspiring performances, you've had a lot of them, but you still bang up there. Yes, lots of teams have got games in hand. If everyone plays the same amount of games, I think you're sitting 3rd or 4th if they win them. But you're finding a way to win without being ever that inspiring. And if it does click, which it probably will at some stage, maybe lots of people who write you off might be looking a little bit red-faced on that one. Wealdstone, I think you boys summed it up well. I did have the stat that Louis mentioned about the last win being Braintree, but I watched that whole game and they weren't even too good. They're crying out for some fresh blood in there. Obviously, Max Kretschmar's moved on. He's moved into a coaching role at Hampton and Richmond. So maybe there is a little bit in the budget that wasn't there to start, to maybe get a new player in. And I think they need a little bit of a reset because they are starting to look over their shoulder. I mean, if I was a Braintree fan and I was offered the Wealdstone position, I'd take it absolutely. But I think it's time for them maybe just to reset, go back to basics. They do like to play good football. They do dominate possession quite heavily for a team maybe of Wealdstone's calibre. You wouldn't expect them to as much. Maybe it's time to go back to basics and make themselves really hard to beat, grab a point away from home, try and win the home games, and just then be settled in mid-table. If they can finish 14th, that's a hell of a season for them, even where they started. But yeah, A little bit of worry for them at the moment, but Carlisle, I'm not going to say are going to win the league, but they're in a great position considering they've been the poorest out of the 5 teams up there at the minute. 6 teams if you count Scunthorpe.
Yeah, just what you said there, Craig, about positions and stuff as well. I think Carlisle's issue is we've got a really big squad as well. I think if we are going to be bringing in numbers in January, I think we need to remove some dead wood as well. We've got players like Jordan Jones that just it's not worked out for him. He'll probably do well somewhere else, but it just hasn't worked out for him. Chris Conclark's been injured. Obviously, his Gilead's loan runs out in January as well. So there's players there potentially move on, then bring people in. So be interesting to see what we do throughout the next few weeks and if we can push on. And like I say, hopefully it'll click at some point because if we could do some damage if we actually play well. Mark, what did you make of this one, mate?
Well, in the words of Funboy 3 and Bananarama, it ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it. And that's what gets results. And Luke Armstrong, we spoke about him earlier in the season, and I, for one, was very pleased that he was going to finally get some form of a chance. And he can score goals. Louis said 4 in 5. I've got my stat here is 3 in 3 league games. So, I'm keeping up with our resident stat man finally. Aaron Hayden as well. He'll be boosted by the goal. Wealdstone. What to do about Wealdstone? As Craig summed it up very, very well, they need to be wary of what's going on below them rather than worrying about what's going on over them. They'll need to look back and see what made them such a fun team to watch at the start of the season, and maybe go back to that. As you say, the wage bill now that Max Kretschmeier has gone to Hampton and Richmond. All the best, Max. But it's who they bring in, who's available. It may be a loan, it may be a freebie. We just don't know. But no, Carlisle top of the table. And come on, some of you Carlisle fans, be a bit more bloody happy for you too. Come on, miserable stuff.
I hope you're on a point to me, Craig. I'm always happy. I'm always happy.
Present company excluded. I've seen some of your comments, and you should be ashamed of yourselves.
Next up, we've got. I won't say much more about that. Next up, we've got Forest Green 2, Halifax 1. Dream debut for Ricardo Reis. Craig, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, when we spoke to Robbie Savage earlier in the year, I think Louis asked him the question, "Do you need a number 9?" And he kind of said no. I think he said, "I've got good options. We're not a team that's reliant on a number 9." Maybe it's been in the pipeline for a long time, or maybe their festive form and the chances they've missed has forced his hand slightly on this one. But if you're going to go and sign someone in non-league at the minute to score your goals, obviously you're not going to get Ollie Pearce from York. Ricardo Reis was the best bet you're going to get, and they've probably had to part with some money to get him, some serious money in that as well, and probably the wages as well. But if you get promoted, games like that will be the ones where he's worth the weight in gold in money. Two goals, probably 9-10 yards combined, but they're poachers' finishes. The first one, by the way, from a Halifax point of view, they've let Mendy header the ball and then get to the second one and then turn a shot. And again, I don't think Johnson's covered himself in glory with a save. I don't think it was a particularly hard save, and he's pushed it back out, which seems to be a running theme over the weekend's games. I think Mason Terry did it for Braintree, which I'm sure we'll come on to later as well. And he's just poached finish from Ricardo Reis. And then the second one, just in the right place, made the run into the box and tapped it home in the back stick. But yeah, it's a perfect signing for them, and it's what they needed. I just talked about Carlisle's business for January, and obviously we can still buy players in February and March, but it's a little bit harder to get them in February and March at this level. They've done it quickly, they've done it early, and they've got the player through the door, and it could earn them another 10, 15 points. And with how tight it's going to be in that top 6, top 7, if you can count Southend in it, we can't, then those goals and those moments in games like there was yesterday could easily win them this league or put them in contention to win the league. I'm not being brave enough to call who's winning this league at the minute because it's ridiculous that Rochdale, I think, are now sitting 5th after after not playing yesterday. So it's scandalous up there how tight it is. But yeah, players like him could be the difference, because if he scores 10 to 15 between now and the end of the season, they're not going to be too far off it at all.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And obviously, you mentioned about the goals as well. I thought both goals were just striker finishes, like right place, right time. Very impressive. And I know he's been mentioned by numerous people that we spoke to on the podcast as like the up and coming star from obviously the National League North. So you think to yourself, will it work out? Will it not work out? Because it could be one of them, but he couldn't have started much better. Other than getting a hat trick, he couldn't have started much better than that for him. Mark, what did you make of
He
this
had the
one?
chances to as well, by the way.
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah, he did. Mark, obviously, I know you've seen a lot of Ricardo Reis. What did you make of this
Oh
one, mate?
boy. Oh yeah, we saw way too much of him when Merthyr came to Macclesfield earlier on in the season, and he scored 2 perfect free kicks in the middle of a hat trick. I mean, it was so obvious to everybody that he was going to move from Merthyr. It was just a question of where. Forest Green did get mentioned quite a few times. I believe Bristol Rovers were also in there for him, but you look at the quality that Forest Green have got. I mean, players like Cal McAllister, Laurent Mendy, Tom Knowles, Harry Whitwell, they must be thinking, my God, we've got a striker here who's scored 25 goals all season. We're going to love playing with this guy, and they will, because he is you look for an absolute striker. Doesn't matter whether he's 30 yards out or 3 yards out. He gets some goals for you. He's paying off whatever transfer fee he's got. And 2 goals. There's no reason why in a side like Forest Green that he can't get 20 before the end of the season. There's absolutely no reason why. Get him on the free kicks, Robbie. You'll be pleasantly surprised. Halifax, that would have dented their playoff ambitions. They did have a goal, an equaliser disallowed to Sean Hobson. Will Hugel scored, but not many teams will go to Forest Green and get a victory. Some have got the points. Not a lot have actually gone there and beaten them. But yeah, Ricardo Reis, get him playing regularly. Feed the Reis and he will score.
What's your thoughts on the offside goal, Mark?
I'll quote the Naked Gun here. There was a 50-50 chance of it happening, but only a 10% chance of that.
For those of you who haven't seen the Naked Gun, it's absolute classic, by the way. So
yeah, please do.
Offside for me, by the way. Offside.
Yeah, I think it's offside. I seen Adam Lakeland had commented saying it was a terrible decision or something along those lines. But given how many times you see
managerial frustration, but
well, yeah, but
what can we do? What can we do about it now,
sir? The goalkeeper it was given offside for him, blocking the keeper's view.
It was whoever was on the keeper was blocking the keeper's view, and we all know these days that is the rule. We've seen it given loads of times. So to be consistent, they've got to give it. It might be frustrating, it might be annoying or whatever, but
we talk about consistency. We saw it about an hour and a half later in the Yeovil Braintree game as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. So, fair play there. We're quick enough to criticise officials for things. So if they're going to be consistent, even if we disagree or whatever, at least if it's consistent, we can't really argue with it. Louis, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, watched the last half an hour or so of this game. I think Halifax can't really moan about the scoreline. I think Forest Green absolutely battered them. I'll get the stats out, being the resident stat man. 23 shots for Forest Green. They racked up an expected goals of 5. Like that's it's ridiculous to rack up that in one game. And signing a player like Reis, it's the perfect side to put him in when you create chances like that. If you find him, he will score. And as Craig said, he could have had a hat trick. He could have had 4 goals. There was one that dribbled off the post, I think, after he got his second. Fantastic signing for them. And I think, as you've said, he's going to bang in goals for them. They've got 15 points from losing positions so far this season, Forest Green. So there's that relentless nature to them. which Robbie Savage has always gone about. He wants his side to be hungry and get more chances and create more chances and score more goals. So yeah, full credit to them. Big 3 points for them considering their festive period. They needed that win and they've got it. And as much as Savage said they're out of the title race after the Brackley game, I don't think they are. They're firmly in it, especially with signing of Reece.
Yeah, definitely. And just quickly before we move on, I've seen Josh Hamami went off injured as well for Halifax.
Big
I don't
club.
know. I don't know the severity or anything like that, but that could be a massive loss for Halifax if they're trying to, search for that final playoff place. That could be a massive loss for them. And I know, obviously, we've spoken about him very highly, and that might also, stop a potential move as well. So it might be a little bit of a blessing as well, in a way, if it's not a long injury for
Good for
Halifax,
Halifax if
obviously.
that happens, yeah.
Yeah, for Halifax, yeah, it might be. So we'll wait and see what happens there and how long he's out for. Hopefully not long for the Halifax fans. Next up, we've got Tamworth 3, Gateshead 1. The wars continue for Gateshead, even though, new manager and everything like that. I do worry for them. Tamworth back to winning ways after some poor results that me and Craig obviously mentioned over the festive period. Mark, what did you make of this one?
Yeah, Gateshead, Rob Elliott has got a big job on his hands. I know he's brought in a couple of players, Mark Beck being one of them from Scunthorpe, all 6'5" of him, which will give them an option, but they've got to do so. And Kane Adom got the goal, but what if he goes in January? What if their hand is forced into because they've not really got that amount of cash that they thought they had? They may be forced to cash in and he's the main asset for them at the moment. The first goal for Stefan Moles, he could have sat down and had tea and biscuits before he put that ball in. I mean, there was just absolutely nobody going to him. Yeah, you just maybe have a crumpet with some Marmite on it. You just don't know. I mean, he was a great little player for Curzon Ashton, made them tick. The couple of goals, and Ollie Lynch managed to get one as well. Tamworth needed to do something as they took a bit of a drubbing, shall we say, over the festive period. It brings them back into the playoff contentions. But Gateshead, I'm so sorry, but this was the game where your National League life has been put on a. You're gone. Sorry, but you're gone. There's no other way to put it. You're gone.
Yeah, they look doomed to me. They really do. Louis, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, it was for Tamworth, as we said, a big win from the first half. It looked like it was both boxes where Gateshead were let down, and Rob Elliott said it after the game in his post-match. He said they got let down in both boxes. They didn't take the small chances that they had, and they didn't defend their box well, as they haven't done for most of the season with the worst defence in the league. Dom's goal looks slightly offside, I think, but you get the luck of the green sometimes. If he does stay, it's such a big goal for him, I think, because he's had a bit of a blip recently. So if he can start scoring, that's probably their only hope. But as Mark said, it might be the case that he will be moving on in January if they need to get some cash in to actually invest in other players that are coming in. But from that point of view, you've got yourself back in the game. Just keep it tight. It ended up being a bit of a basketball game for 4 minutes. It allowed Tamworth to retake the league. And then again, you're just fighting for the game when you're on such a poor run of form. Just keep it tight, take the point, stop the rot and move on. But they didn't do it. And yeah, some of the stuff that Rob Elliott says in the post-match interview, he says, I want to get the club back on track and on and off the pitch. We've got to reset completely and start again from now. You've lost half the season already. It's such a huge task for him. And as much as I do rate him as a manager and it brings the fans back on side, it's just a horrible job to go into. So I don't know why he's taking it, apart from, going back to a club that treated him well and worked well before. Good luck to him. But yeah, as Mark said, it's a really tough gig, and I really see, bad signs for them going forward.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned before, Louis, about that article that we put out about players, where could potentially be going. I think Kane Adom, to be fair, is probably destined for the EFL, but I did say Carlisle should take a look at him. He could solve that right side problem that we've had with Adjuboy, Lowamba, and obviously had a goal threat, but I do think he's probably destined for higher in the EFL personally. And that will be a massive loss for them because I think he is their only hope. Craig, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, Tamworth needed it. They really needed it after a very, very disappointing festive period. I know we've had a little bit of a laugh and a joke with it, and there's a few comments in there, but obviously Jazz Singh done our predictions for Boxing Day and then shifted in 7, which sparked a few comments on our social media, which were all in good jest, I think. And if anyone follows Jazz on social media, he's up for a laugh, which is good. I think you need to be as a goalkeeper. You can always be the pantomime villain in that position. For Gateshead, though, I think they're doomed, and I don't necessarily think this is a good appointment for them. I think it's maybe going back to someone that did okay for them, but they were in a completely different place, completely different situation then, and they were challenging the playoffs. I looked at some of the football they tried to play yesterday, and I know it's only game 1, probably 1-2 training sessions. They were trying to play out from the back, and I'm thinking that's not what you need when you're down the bottom. You need to go back to basics, make yourself hard to beat. And it's going to be tough for them, but it's going to take a miracle. And for teams like myself and Louis that are down there with them, we've just got to hope. We took that Truro being the one that gets cut adrift from the rest. Maybe it might be Gateshead, and for us around them, it's not the worst thing.
Yeah, I mean, just what you said there, Craig, as well about Gateshead. When Carlisle went there on Boxing Day, the one thing I noticed was they were in the game for the first half an hour, and then they just give the ball away, playing around at the back, and then the 1-0 down. They're their own worst enemy half the time. How many times have we seen it? I'm sure there was a game at the start of the season where they lost 3-0 at home. Can't remember who it was again. Yeah, and all 3 goals were from them playing out from the back and giving goals away. And you think at some point, I get you've got a philosophy and all that, but at some point, you've just got to abandon that philosophy and just think we need to stay in this league. At some point, you have to.
The majority of their squad are young players as well. You look at the average age of their lineups, they're 23, 24. These are young players that, they need an experienced head in that team that's going to actually, pull them up, pull the socks off and get them going.
Back.
Yeah, and it's such a tough job. I mean, we spoke about it with John Coleman on the previous podcast about whether you want young players in a tough situation, but in this case, their heads are going to be so low, and as you say, playing it around from the back, they're just waiting for the pressure to come onto them, and they just can't handle it, and it's just shooting yourself in the foot at the highest order.
Yeah, and
I think with what Louis is saying as well about do you want young players in that situation? Maybe the choice has been was made for them. When you've got absolutely nothing, there's not much more you can do, and there's the old cliche of all the boys are going to grow to be men and everything like that, but they've got to learn quickly. And as we've also, don't fart around with it at the back. Just if you have to lump it down, you've got a 6'5" striker there now, Mark Beck. Lump it to him. Why not? It might just save your season.
Yeah, and just quickly before we move on, but I feel like we're bashing Gateshead a bit here, but I even question the recruitment. Like Mark Beck coming in, is he any better than Frank Newell? We talk about experienced heads, big target men strikers. They've already got one. Why have they brought another one in? Surely they need to be looking at that as well. I do question that as well. So I do worry for them because it just seems a bit of a mess all around at the moment.
Yeah, Story and Nicholson might be good defensive reinforcements for them.
Yeah.
But I struggle other than Canadon to see goals for them. And when they're leaking at the back, they need 2 or 3 to even get something out of the game. So, it's going to be a struggle for them. But long may it continue for the teams that are down the bottom with them.
Oh, don't you hate it when somebody's taking personal glee out of somebody else's misery?
Talking of misery, Yeovil 3, Braintree 1.
No.
We'll fire it straight back to Craig. I actually watched this game as well. It was a good watch. The second half was better than the first, I thought. Craig, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, the better team won on the day. Yeovil worked harder. They were a better team. They were better in shape. They were proactive with their substitutions. They did everything ultimately just that little bit better than Braintree. When I've seen the two sides over the season, I don't think Yeovil are much better than Braintree, but on the day they were much better than us, and it was a fully deserved victory. The first goal that we thought was a goal was a header from a set piece and was a warning sign on. I believe there was a block on Mason Terry, which got the goal disallowed as well. but it took about 20 minutes for the linesman to flag. I think they were about to kick off before they realised that it had been disallowed. It was a little bit shambolic. I think the right decision was made. It just wasn't made very, very quickly. But there was warning signs in that first half of Braintree. Yes, we got in at 0-0, but we shouldn't have really. And then the second half, Yeovil were just a better side. The first one was parried by Mason Terry. He made good saves throughout, but I think he's got to parry that off the pitch. The second one, he's parried back into play again, and it's headed home. I think the first one I can blame him for. The second one's a little bit harsh to blame him, but I probably still would, because I've seen how good he can be. Just push it away from danger. Lewis Walker grabbed his first goal since opening day. Deserved after his performance against Woking. I thought he was the best player on the pitch against Woking. I thought he was very, very good. Maybe a point to prove against Woking. Obviously, they released him in the summer. But then, good finish there after good play from Babic. But then you think, can we do something? Akinde skewed a half chance wide. We had a few nearly moments. And then they went up the other end and made it comfortable with a 3-1. And they had chances at 2-1 to make it 3-1 before they even took the third chance. No real complaints from me. The biggest game for us now is Boston. They seem to be free-falling. We've got them at home on Saturday. If we can beat them, we go above them. And that's one more team that's closer to the drop zone or in the drop zone that isn't us. So, yeah, 3 points from 9 over the festive period. But I think maybe 4, maybe 6 could have been done with that Southend game and the manner of that one. But this one was ultimately a deserved win for Yeovil and Billy Rowley's team, who's not had the greatest form over the festive period. So for them, after his initial bounce, it kind of settled into a bit of a pattern of losing and getting draws. Good for them, and a well-deserved victory as well.
Yeah, just from me watching it as well, I thought that Akinde moment was a big moment in the game. I was 2-1. You know, he kind of got stuck between two minds. He could have squared it or had the shot, and he kind of got stuck in between two, and he skewed it wide instead. I thought that, and then if that goes in, that's 2-2 and totally different kettle of fish
If
there.
that goes in, we win the game, but he never looked comfortable hitting it.
No, he didn't. I think I messaged you at the time just saying, "Oh, that's for a man of his experience." I thought that was poor, but I was impressed by Yeovil, and I was impressed when we played them earlier on in the season. I thought on their day, I think they can match a lot of teams on their day, but they're just so inconsistent. Louis, what did you make of this one?
Yes, a good 24 hours for Yeovil, obviously getting the 3 points. And then I think the main thing is Luke McCormick signing a new deal. I think it's till 2028. He's got a new deal for 6 goal involvements in the last 6 games for him. He's a key cog in their attacking threat going forward. Big win for Billy Rowley. I think he came under some criticism after the Truro game for the way he set the team out, the way that they played in that game. Obviously going to a Truro side that are fairly low on confidence, bottom of the league. He didn't get many plaudits out of it, but I think it's a big win for them. They're now 8 points clear of the relegation zone, and it gives them the ability to kick on when you look that they've got Brackley and Aldershot to come in their next 2 games. So yeah, big 3 points for them. Good 24 hours for them, and yeah, hopefully for them they'll be looking upwards. Hopefully for Braintree and Sutton they won't be, and we can catch them, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, Mark, anything to add on that one?
Yeah, the Luke McCormick signing could possibly just make Yeovil's season here. They know that the talisman, he's coming on leaps and bounds in the recent weeks. Now that he's not going anywhere, that will instill the confidence. They've got a very, very confident manager. He will want to take every game, win, lose or draw, whatever the performance, he will take it on board and just, and he will adjust, he will mix to his recipe and it will come through. Braintree, do you know what? With the teams that are already down there, I don't think you've got much to worry about. But am I right in saying Emmanuel Thomas is starting from the bench, Craig?
Yeah, and to be honest, mate, I haven't been overly impressed with him. He doesn't seem like he's that. I don't want to say committed because it doesn't seem the right terminology, but he's quite a luxury player. I think it's the right terminology for him. And obviously we're in a battle. Don't get me wrong. He produced that moment of magic against Truro when we needed it the most. But since then, I scored a penalty in the trophy. I don't think he's got 90 minutes in him, Mark. I think he's very much a half-hour player. But I've been praising Steve over the last couple of weeks for being proactive with his subs. And on.
Yeah, I mean,
Saturday.
we said about the Gateshead players getting them out of the mire. I mean, if you're going to have players who are only going to last so much, that's not going to really help you either. But January, they will see. There's players' deals expiring in this month. Maybe they could go and have a look at that. I believe Braintree signed. I can't remember who his name is. The fella who was on trial at Scunthorpe. Is it Adar?
Aramende Otte or something along them
Otte,
lines.
yeah.
Otte, yeah, he scored against
Sounds
Woking.
similar. But yeah, I mean, there's a fresh pair of legs who could bring another dynamic to it. So, but yeah, Yeovil doing the business under Billy Rowley, but Braintree can have a look and think, right, there are those two who are battling it out to be who's the worst team in the league. But got to start winning games, my man.
Yeah, and then talking to teams that are struggling to win games, Boston 1, Eastleigh 2. Boston, again, they do look like, I think Craig said earlier, they're looking free fall at the moment. Eastleigh, again, we mentioned you never know quite what you're going to get from them. But I did look, and they're unbeaten in their last 5 now in all competitions. So they are kind of putting a bit of a run together, which is good to see from them. But Boston worrying. Louis, what did you make of this one, mate?
Yeah, took the lead early, Sloggett opened the scoring on 9 minutes. I will praise the referee on this. It was well done from the referee. Played advantage on what looked like a handball and should have been a penalty, and then Sloggett had the instinctive finish to put it away. They just didn't kick on after that, and Eastleigh got back into it after about 25 minutes. Saunders with a free header. It's poor defending again. They just leave their man to get a free header, and the number of chances that weren't taken, balanced with good saves from Nick Townsend in the Eastleigh goal. Boston paid for it in the end. Obviously, Reece Lovett looks like an ice skater with his attempt to try and clear that ball. Aaron Blair taps it in. Really, really poor from the Boston goalkeeper, and it's cost his team what would be maybe a point or 3 points in that scenario, which could, at the end of the season, be really, really crucial for them. Aaron Blair come back from injury free, so I think it's been quite a big one. He's got 3 goals in 4 games now. Probably a reason why they've had an upturn in 4. I think he's a really good player. Obviously, Craig probably backed that up. I haven't seen him at Braintree 2 seasons ago when they got promoted. But yeah, Boston's really, really huge game next week against Braintree now. 5 points from their previous 30 that they've had, and no win at home since the 24th of September. Worrying times for Boston. That win that they usually had to keep their head above water doesn't seem to be coming at the moment. Massive game next week. If they lose that, God knows what will happen, because they'll be dragged straight back into that bottom 4 potentially, depending on other results as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But you can't guess who they beat on the 24th of September, can you?
Oh, I wonder who.
Braintree. Feel like we're on the Christmas quiz again. So obviously that's Braintree at home in the game coming up. Yeah.
5:30 live on DAZN. Commentator Craig Port.
Oh, there we go. Nice little advertisement there. Yeah, great plug. Craig, what did you make of this one, mate?
I know one person that certainly didn't love it, and that was Graham Coughlin. He was apparently furious, but maybe a little bit of his own undoing as well, because he's rotated that goalkeeper position over the last couple of weeks, and
he won't anymore.
One thing we know about goalkeepers, they're a protected breed, and they like to have their comforts and know if they're number 1 or number 2, and maybe that's caused a little bit of jeopardy. But you watch the mistake; it's an absolute howler. Aaron Blair has scored 9 this season in the league now, and that will be the easiest of the 9 without doubt. So Eastleigh, I think before Christmas we were talking about them maybe starting to look over their shoulders. They weren't putting up any trees. They have managed to just steady the ship over the festive period, get some good results, with this probably being the best one out the lot, and steer themselves away into that mid-table mediocrity. But with a few of the changes they'll probably take that this season, despite the fact I think we tipped them to finish 5th or 6th. As I believe we will get onto that later on in the week when we get together to look at our predictions and have a laugh on where they're going so far. Boston. Boston have been a pretty poor side for a few weeks now, and I can't stress how massive Saturday is. Whatever game you're at 3 o'clock, tune in. It may not be a classic, but you're going to see two teams that really, really need a win at 5:30 live on the Zone. Commentator Craig Port.
Mark, anything to add on that one, mate?
Well, I'll tune in after our FA Cup game against Crystal Palace, which I've never mentioned. Well, I think with the defensive frailties of Boston, Graham Coughlin, being an ex-defender himself, must be having kittens about how it's going at the moment. The first goal, that's good official. A good official, who'd have thought it? Actually got on there with the wonderfully named Gregory Sloggett. You are my favourite player at the moment. I love that name. And then, it all went south so quickly. Harvey Saunders, who's on loan from Tranmere. I knew the name sounded familiar. And then Aaron Blair scores the goals thanks to the goalkeeping capabilities of Lionel Blair. Oh, my God, what were you doing? Yeah, and please, Reece Lovett's missus, don't message us, because that you can't defend that. Sorry. I mean, God almighty, it was like he stood on a landmine. What is wrong with him? And I would be absolutely livid at Lovett. I didn't love it. Graham Coughlin certainly didn't love it. You keep your composure as a goalkeeper. I mean, you just made yourself look stupid, and that could be very, very costly at the end of the season, doing your best Wayne Sleep impression. Yeah, but no, Eastleigh getting the points that are going to try and justify why we had them in the playoffs, as it's been a bit iffy so far. But if changes do come afoot for Boston, don't be surprised if the goalkeeping position is the first place he'll look.
And just for those of our younger listeners and viewers, Wayne Sleep and Lionel Blair were dancers back in the day. Just in case you wondered who the people, I could see Louis' confused look on his face. They were both dancers back in the day, mate. Very famous dancers.
Look them up on your Google machine or the YouTube, and don't forget
you don't want to do that, lads. Honestly, you don't want to do that. Then your algorithm will just come up with people dancing and stuff. You don't want that happening. Like I say, a day to forget for the keeper. I'm sure Graham Coughlin has said his piece. We've had him on the podcast. He doesn't settle for anything less than 100%. So I'm sure he wasn't happy, and I'm sure he's told them that as well. So, like I say, big game Saturday. DAZN 5:30. I can't remember who's commentating. Who was that again?
I don't think. Can
Live on DAZN
5:30.
Commentator Craig Port.
That's him.
That's him. Dodgy character.
I'll be watching there.
I'll be ill now and I won't even be on it.
So we'll look forward. I will actually watch that game, to be fair. There's a lot of jeopardy involved, so I'm looking forward to that. So that's our deep dive. Obviously, there was only them games. We're going to do a recap from our predictions over the festive period and give you an update on the table. I think Craig's going to do, and then Louis is going to announce our monthly awards nominees. Craig?
Perfect. So, yes, bad news for the four of us, especially Louis, as the guests have now leapfrogged him into first place. As we said, they were represented by Jazz Singh on Boxing Day, by Callum, our social media admin, on the midweek fixtures, and then Mark, the ex-West Ham United employee on Twitter, who's managed to help us get some fantastic guests. He represented them in the 5 games. He actually predicted all 12 for us, but there's only 5 remaining. He won his week, so he won his week with 12 points. Midweek, I believe, was won by Dan. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then Boxing Day was joint between Dan and Mark, but Mark had more correct results, so he actually edged it on the correct results.
Doesn't happen very often, folks.
Yeah. You've won 2 out of 26 weeks, Mark.
There you go.
So by our totals, game week 39 should be the next one you win. That does put us all over 300 points. Mark is on 307. Dan's on 341. There's only a 9-point jump to myself now, which is on 350. Louis 364, and the guests are now on 373. So only 32 points between Dan and top place. And we were discussing this earlier. There's going to be some big game weeks coming up. Rochdale may feature in a game week 3 times on our predictions later on in the season. So there's definitely still points to be won throughout the season. And I'm going to back myself here. I'm going to win it. I'm going to win it.
I'm definitely not backing myself. All I
come
know
back
is
here, mate. You can see it's in the stars.
all I know is we can't have the guests winning because it's not a good look for us. Okay. People
Not
are
a good
already
look for
calling
us
me.
at the
People are already
moment.
calling me clueless, lads. People are already calling me clueless. You know, I need
Yeah,
help.
it's
So
just down to the excellent caliber of guests we get on this podcast. You see,
Now
that's
that's
very
true.
true. That is true as
No,
well.
that's true. Yeah, and the sheer incompetence of some of us. But there you are.
Mark's talking about himself, obviously.
Yeah,
Louis,
evidently the only one in the room, obviously.
Louis, over to you. Our monthly awards for Player of the Month, Manager of the Month, the nominees, please.
Yeah, so a bit of a short month given the FA Trophy fixtures took place at the beginning of the month and the FA Cup for a number of sides as well. So manager of the month first up, I think it's back to back now for Luke Garrard, nomination again. 3 league wins out of 3 with 1 goal conceded that time. Took them to the top of the table at the end of December. On fire, they are absolutely cracking manager, deserves to be nominated. They also got through in the FA Cup, beating Newport County 3-0, I think it was, to set up a 3rd round tie against Burton Albion at home. So congratulations to Luke Garrard. Next up, Andy Butler, 4 league wins, progression in the FA Trophy for Scunthorpe United. After a poor November where they had a bit of a blip and didn't pick up many wins, they are back in the title race with those 4 league wins, in my opinion. Next up, Adam Lakeland, 3 wins, 1 draw, another FA Trophy progression for him with FC Halifax Town, beating FC United of Manchester in the FA Trophy, picking up some crucial wins to put themselves back in the playoff race after a poor November as well. And our friend John Coleman, incredible month for him and Aldershot Town. Started the month 7 points from safety in 23rd. Looked really bleak for them. I know we were sort of thinking that they might be cut adrift. But 10 points from 12 has put his side outside of the drop zone, moving into the new year. So congratulations to him. If you haven't seen the podcast with him, go and watch it. It's a really good watch. I could listen to him for hours, as I'm sure all of us could as well. Top guest, top man. Cracking job, John. Well done. Player of the Month nominees: Callum Roberts at Scunthorpe, 5 games, 4 goals, 1 assist for him. Returning from injury and a key component to Scunthorpe's upturn in form. So congratulations to him. Joe Sabara coming in on loan from Doncaster to Solihull Moors, 4 games, 4 goals, 1 assist. Got a hat-trick in that 7-1 win against Tamworth and has helped guide Moors into the playoff picture. Not too far outside the playoff places now they are. Josh Amami, unlucky start to the year for him. Maybe it's the nomination curse, getting injured yesterday. But 4 games, 3 goals, 2 assists for him. Played a star role in their 4-0 win against Braintree and has restarted their playoff charge. Not too far off Southend as well in 7th place now. And then the last one, back-to-back nominations for Ollie Pearce, 3 games, 5 goals, a hat-trick against Truro in the 4-0 win, and 90th minute winner at Altrincham has helped them to 2nd place at the end of the month. So congratulations to him. A lot of tough picks for our listeners to choose from. But yeah, the worthy winner at the end of it will be announced soon.
Yeah, well said, Louis. Like I say, I don't envy our listeners trying to pick between them. I think it's very close, especially the manager one. I think you can make an argument for all 4 of them. I know who my pick would be, but I won't be voting. So, but yeah. So, anyways, that's it from us. Good to be back. First one of 2026. Just want to thank everybody who's watched us and listened over, the latter part of 2025, where our subscribers went through the roof. Our listeners gone through the roof and everything. We couldn't do any of it without you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We hit our target of 750 subscribers by the end of the year, which was kind of a miracle, to be fair, after where we'd started in July, August time. So thank you to everybody who's subscribed so far. And yeah, congratulations to our nominees. And thanks to Craig, Mark and Louis for joining me as always. And we'll be back midweek discussing all things National League. But until then, take care and we'll see you soon.